Welcome to Reparenting Daily, your free daily guide for inner child healing and repairing the relationship with yourself. This podcast helps you establish a consistent reparenting routine and is divided into 3 sections. The first is the daily reading, the second is a discussion of the reading, followed by suggested journal prompts, and the last section is peaceful binaural beats meditation for closing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whenever and wherever you're joining us. I'm so glad that you could join us on this journey of self-expansion. If this is your first time here, welcome. As a celebration of passing episode 700, I've opened a free membership tier for the Patreon community so you can access additional resources and join the weekly Zoom calls for free. I know there's a lot going on in the world right now and that so many people are really struggling. My hope here is to still encourage others to continue the work on reparenting and to offer a free community where people can come together and do that. I'd also like to thank all of you who've been along on the journey so far. Just as a reminder, this is a free podcast, but you can support the project by purchasing the Reparenting Daily Journal, where you can follow us along all year. This 333-page journal gives you extra insight and resources for each week and also provides space for you to keep your notes. Another way to support the podcast is to purchase the Fairy Tales for Reparenting series, volumes 1 through 3. This collection organizes famous and obscure fairy tales from around the world into the 3 phases of the hero's journey. While you might think that fairy tales are for kids, I'd like to challenge you. These stories contain profound truths and lessons carried down over millennia that we can use in our reparenting journey. It's a fun way to reconnect with your inner child. Each volume comprises 10 fairy tales. They include an analysis section to help you dive deeper into the message, as well as journal prompts and space to reflect on the story's meaning in your life. Lastly, you can also support the project by taking a paid Patreon subscription, by purchasing the books on the website, or by donating via Buy Me a Coffee. You can find all this information on the Support Us section of the website. So now, with these announcements out of the way, let's dive into today's practice. Today, we're going to be listening to a portion of a lecture by Nero. It's entitled, Remove Subconscious Blocks. Just as a reminder, we're in April, and the theme for this month is developing structure and discipline. We're in week 4, and the theme for this week is holding yourself accountable. Now, this is the first episode where I'll be doing switching over from daily to weekly. So they'll normally be published on every Monday, but I had a little bit of a delay today because yesterday was a holiday in the Netherlands. It was King's Day, the King's birthday, and I took some time, as I mentioned before, as to the reason why I'm decreasing the frequency, to go live. Give myself a little bit of a break. Of course, I'm still accountable and disciplined because I'm coming back and do it today, but sometimes it's okay to take a break, especially if there's a holiday. There have been not so many times that I've taken a break, so I granted that to myself today and still feel quite comfortable and confident in my discipline and accountability. And so, without further ado, I want to explain why I've selected this talk and how it's important for this weekly theme of holding yourself accountable. In this video, Nero is explaining the difference between the subconscious and conscious mind in terms of our ability to manifest or attract situations, people, and events into our lives. A lot of the times, our subconscious programming is different from our conscious intentions. And if that's the case, no matter how much we tell ourselves that we want one thing, if our subconscious definitions are based on something else, then we will be attracting that as opposed to our conscious desire. And so that matters for this week, holding yourself accountable, because repetition and emotional intensity are how you change the subconscious mind. And you must be accountable to yourself to program your subconscious mind. Because if not, you will not be making the progress. As I said before, healing your trauma and reparenting, loving yourself, is not as difficult as most people make it out to be. I truly believe that this therapy industry, the self-help industry, makes things way more complicated just so they can keep people stuck on this rat race of paying for solutions, endless searching, endless quest, endless talk therapy sessions. Not to say all of these things and modalities, strategies are invaluable, are not valuable, but they drag out the process much longer than it needs to be, and they make it much more painful and costly than it needs to be. All of this is free. The actual solution is actually free. Remember, you already have everything that you need inside. No matter how things look, you already have everything that you need inside. You just have to trust yourself. So without further ado, let's listen to Nero Knowledge.
Time that just not only did it not work for me, it didn't work for a lot of people that I worked with. And it's really because of the subconscious mind. Because a lot of people, everybody understands the idea that the subconscious mind is illogical, but they don't understand the depths of what that means. If your subconscious mind has no logic, then why the fuck are you going to bring logic to your subconscious mind when it comes to the definitions of what it is that you want? It's very naive for you to think that your subconscious mind actually cares about the way you define anything, because it doesn't. And I can promise you that. And I'll show you plenty of examples of what I mean right now. Plenty of examples of what I mean right now. This is quite literally the key to total transformation. Literally. Completely altering your reality. So, like I said, your subconscious mind has its own definition on the things that you want. And because your subconscious mind has its own definition, if you don't understand what your subconscious mind's definition of what you want is, you don't know what it is that you're actually going to be bringing into existence. And that's what barring that down. Because a lot of you niggas actually think that you have a problem manifesting, but what if you don't have a problem manifesting? What if you're manifesting just fine? You're just manifesting the things you don't want. But you're manifesting the things you don't want because you don't understand that your subconscious mind's definition of what you want is actually the thing that you don't want. Like I said, your subconscious mind has its own definition on what it is that you want, and the subconscious mind forms mental associations based upon emotional intensity. So emotional intensity forms associations in the mind. Another way of saying associations is links, connections. And emotional intensity has two parts, and only two parts. Those two parts are either what you have emotionally intensely experienced or emotionally and intensely observed. This is all that matters. And if you can just reverse engineer this alone, you're going to have a light bulb moment that actually may bring you to the awareness of the fact that you've been actually materializing your desire, but just subconsciously, your subconscious definition of what it is that you desire. I'll give you an example. So, like I said, it all comes down to either experience or observation. Whether experience or observation, the necessity is a degree of emotional intensity. If there's emotional intensity, then it will enter the subconscious mind, because that's the primary language of the subconscious mind. The language of God is emotion. Emotion is the language of God. Emotion is quite literally the basis of your entire subconscious mind. It's very difficult for things to enter the subconscious mind without a particular degree of emotional charge. It also responds to, altered brainwave states such as alpha and theta, but predominantly, it all comes down to emotionally intense experience or observed things. Now, let's actually run through this, because like I said, this is going to give you a light bulb moment that is going to make you aware of something. So let's take a simple one. Let's say that you wish to materialize a relationship. Love. Now, consciously, we have a lovely definition on love. Fulfillment, completion, appreciation, cherishing, make me feel seen. All of that. You might have all of that consciously. What's your subconscious mind's definition on love? Well, it all comes down to what you have emotionally intensely experienced and what you have emotionally intensely observed. Let's say you've experienced heartbreak. Heartbreak is an emotionally intense experience. Let's say you've observed your parents. Let's say you've experienced let's say you saw your parents divorce. Let's say you saw disharmony. Let's say you saw or experienced toxicity. Then technically, that means your subconscious mind's definition on love is heartbreak. It is divorce. It is disharmony. It is toxicity. And if that's what you've been continuously experiencing, then what if you don't have a problem manifesting at all? Because here's the fucked up thing. When you say you want to manifest love, consciously, that's its own definition. But subconsciously, it's equated to the emotionally intense experiences and observations that you've been through in reality. Your most emotionally intense experiences or your emotionally intense observations in relation to what it is that you want to materialize then forms an association based upon that emotion, which then forms its own definition. And when it forms its own definition, either one or two things happen, which is very, very dangerous. One or two things happen. You either, when you say you want to manifest love, You say I want to manifest love. Your subconscious mind says, what's my definition of love? My definition of love based upon what the emotionally intense experiences that this person has experienced or they've observed. Heartbreak, disharmony, toxicity. And I used to think to myself, like, back in the day, like I said, shit, if you had money, you could have, you know what I'm saying? We could have made some arrangements. Actually, I don't like the way that sounds. It kind of sounds like, low key, like I was whoring myself out, but that's besides the point. I'll never forget, I had this one girl that came to me and she was like to me, I've been cheated on 8 times. I said, fucking hell, 8 times. It's a lot. It's a bit of a pattern. You know what I'm saying? That's terrible. Like, it's not something you deserve. That's not something that you should be done. There's no justification for that. But then when I asked her about not only her experiences, but her observed experiences, she grew up watching her dad bring women to the house when the mom wasn't there. When I heard that, I was shocked. One, that niggas are that audacious. But then 2, because then it all made sense. The emotionally intense experience of that quite literally is associated. Because like I said, either one or 2 things are going to happen here. You're going to say, I want to manifest love. Your subconscious mind is going to say, I don't give a fuck what your conscious definition is. Well, let's talk about the subconscious definition. Heartbreak. All right, cool. Then you manifest more heartbreak. You manifest more divorce. You manifest more separation, disharmony, toxicity. And you don't even understand why. Love is the only thing that you want, but you have it. But you don't have your conscious definition. You have your subconscious definition. In a fucked up way, your mind has now formed an association of love is quite literally pain. So when you seek love, you actually materialize pain.
Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the portion of this lecture. As always, you can click on the link in the show notes to listen to it in its entirety, which I definitely do suggest. He makes multiple videos per week and has a lot of great content about thinking differently, similar to the style of Brian Withers, helping you to restructure your mind and build the internal architecture that was missing from faulty parenting. And so as we listen to this topic and reflect on the weekly theme and the monthly theme, developing discipline and structure and holding yourself accountable for the contents of your subconscious mind, you must take accountability for that. That is how you truly begin to own your life. You determine how you speak to yourself. And if you grew up with a dysfunctional family or a toxic narcissistic family, you have a lot of rewiring work to do on your mind, your subconscious beliefs, your expectations of people and life. This takes a lot of work, because if you naively go through the motions of doing whatever kind of work that you've chosen to do and prioritize your attention on, unless you are able to get to the core, the root, the subconscious belief and conditioning, you will continue to manifest the same situations in your life. That is why going to talk therapy and talking about the same situation over and over is not going to actually get you very far. In terms of changing your life, it will definitely help you understand, which is a critical piece, but in terms of actually changing your life, your day-to-day experience, that requires practice. And it requires practice in the real world. You have to turn down the fear and trust, live as if, and reprogram yourself consistently. And the only person that can do that is you. The only person that can reprogram your mind is you. Because everything that you see and experience is a projection of the contents of your subconscious mind. And again, there is nobody else who can change that for you. And so you must hold yourself accountable. So as we think about the reflection questions for today, number 1, what is one area of your life where your subconscious beliefs or subconscious definitions are taking you away from what you actually want? Reflect on what Nero knowledge explained in this video to answer that question. Number 2, what influences were the most harmful to your subconscious mind over time? So perhaps you had toxic parents who spoke down to you or who beat you, or you had toxic relationships or toxic friendships. What are the sources of the negative and faulty beliefs that you have inside of your mind? Not to beat yourself up, but to gain awareness. Because awareness and acceptance are the first steps before you can begin to proceed to change. And the last question, what in your life would change, and how would it change if you began to take the task of reprogramming your subconscious mind seriously? If you dedicated your effort consistently, every hour, sometimes even every minute, and just begin in the beginning of this process, what would change in your life and how would it change? Well, that's it for today. As always, thanks for being here. Take care of yourself and please do be well. Welcome back. Now, this is the third and final section of the daily podcast. This is your silent meditation. Please find a place where you can be comfortable and undisturbed, where you can relax and spend some time with yourself for the next 10 minutes. You can choose to be sitting, standing, lying down, or in whatever position makes you most comfortable today. Just take some time to listen to yourself. Next, be sure that you're taking time to be with your breath and to connect more fully with your body. Don't be disturbed or overwhelmed by your thoughts. Simply allow them to pass. Just observe them. Do not engage with your thoughts. Only be mindful of them passing, as if they are leaves drifting down top river. Use this time to connect with yourself, whatever time of day you are listening to this. Namaste.